Natalie, what can you tell us about Proposition GG that's on this year's ballot?
Yeah, so I listen to a lot of uh, YouTube radio or music, and Proposition GG. The proponents like to tell you there's no ballot transparency, um, and we need to add this tax table onto the ballot. It's a great idea. They just keep running the ads over and over and over. The fact is, what GG boils down to is it's a bad idea. First of all, this is this is one of the ones that got on the ballot because legislators, the politicians, put it on the ballot. So I've got it in my voter guide, which you can find at ballot2022.com. And actually, somebody else gave me the great way to sum this up. This is Proposition GG was written by politicians for politicians. What it's trying to do is say, for folks like the Independence Institute, which is now for some, at least a few, I think this is third one now, put a ballot issue on to give a moderate tax cut to the citizens. It doesn't have enough transparency how that'll benefit you or not. So what they want to do with Proposition GG is insert a 8-level taxpayer table onto our ballot, which I think it'll clutter it up. So people are more aware of how a tax cut will in some way be insignificant or harm them. That is the goal of what these proponents want to do, meaning the politicians who put it on the ballot. The irony is they don't want to apply the same thing to themselves. So on this year, there's Proposition FF, which is, the easy way to remember that one is free food. So FF is the one that is going to penalize anybody earning $300,000 or more, where they'll cap their deductions. They're going to be less likely to give charitable charitable contributions. That amendment proposes to penalize people for being productive. That issue is going to raise taxes essentially. So with GG, it's saying you don't have to insert a tax table though for something like that, one that's a tax increase. The only time this tax table will be inserted on the ballot is if it's a citizen initiated tax cut measure. So I go back to GG is written by politicians for politicians. If they really wanted ballot transparency, like their ads all over YouTube or wherever else they're advertising, because they've got actually a pretty decent chunk of money, it's in a good example of the government wants to set some rules for citizens who want liberty and to keep more taxes in their pocket, but government doesn't have to follow by the same rules. And to start with, this tax table they want to put on the ballot, it's already inside of this blue book that we all get in the mail, this thick thing that has all this information. So why single out citizen initiated measures like this year's Proposition 121, which has given us tax relief? Why single out the citizens measure and insert something to clutter up the ballot? But the government doesn't have to follow those same things and show you how that tax hike is going to affect you on the ballot. GG is a bad idea, stupid idea. The politicians just love to try and harm us in any way that they can.
Well, thank you very much for that clarification. It's kind of a nuance initiative on there, and so it's really good to see what's actually going on with it and the total hypocrisy of these politicians who want to stop citizens from keeping their own money, but of course don't want to do anything to impede their ability to steal more of our money at the same time. So absolutely outrageous. I really hope GG loses. That's a really tough one, I think, for a lot of people who are unaware of of the details in terms of what it actually implies.
Yeah, yeah, they've been very pretty clear. If you're one of the political wonks, they've been pretty clear. They don't like John Caldera's Independence Institute tax cuts. They don't like other citizen tax cuts. So no on GG. Thanks for letting me talk about that one. It's one that's unfortunately flying under the radar and will probably pass.
Yeah, the red flag for me was looking who got it on the ballot, seeing the legislators at the state capitol and just looking at that list. And there's not a single one of them who doesn't love increasing taxes. So for me, I said, okay, that's the first red flag. What are they trying to accomplish here? They're not trying to create more transparency to inform the voters. They're trying to game the system, rig the ballot to provide their agenda success.
Yeah, and looking at what will trigger it, I think there's some great definitions on even what they'll consider a tax cut and how, and ultimately, as decided to put it, it opens up the door for ballot mischief. And for those who have concerns about, and I'm not going to speak to myself for this one, but concerns about processing ballots themselves, just speaking it from an administrative end and the
Um,
scanning process and all of that, to insert something else onto the ballot, I don't think it's the best thing to be doing with ballots in the first place, especially when it's available in the blue book anywhere
right,
for all of them, just right now,
right.
the way it is.
And that's why we have the blue book. It's because you can't cram the ballot with 200 pages of arguments, nuanced information, and details. It just doesn't. That's not what the ballot's for.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Well,
well,
perfect, Natalie. Well, appreciate you very much. Appreciate all your hard work and your activism. We got to continue this conversation going forward. Please let me know anything I can do to help you on your mission. And thank you. Just thank you very much for taking time. I know you're busy right now with the election coming up, and really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. And I'm going to work on getting this information out as soon as we can to as many people as possible.
well, thank you very much. I'm really glad to speak to your audience about freedom in Colorado. We need more of it.
Well, thank you, Natalie. Take care.
Okay, good day.